Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. We begin from the National Assembly, where the Senate has confirmed the appointment of Taiwo Oyedele as Minister of State for Finance under the administration of President Bola Tinubu. Senate President Godswill Akpabio announced the confirmation after lawmakers approved nomination through a voice vote following over 2 hours of screening at the Committee of the Whole. Oyedele, who previously chaired the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, is expected to replace Doris Uzoka Anyete, who has been reassigned to the Ministry of Budget and National Planning. Meanwhile, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has called on Nigerians to actively engage their elected representatives and demand accountability, stressing that democracy can only thrive through meaningful citizen participation in the legislative process. Akpabio made the call while delivering his address at the resumption of plenary in the Senate following a brief adjournment that enabled committees to undertake legislative assignment. National Assembly correspondent Anyete Patrick reports.
Describing the Senate as a workshop of solutions rather than merely a platform for political debate, the President of the Senate urged citizens to channel their concerns through democratic institutions by engaging lawmakers directly.
The Senate is not merely a theater of debate, it's a workshop of solutions. Where social media magnifies the noise of the moment, the Senate addresses the substance of the problems. Where the digital arena stays in motion, the legislative process pursues resolutions. Social media must speak to the moment. Representation speaks to the future.
Akpabio acknowledged the growing influence of social media in shaping national conversations, but maintained that legislative procedures remain essential for converting public sentiment into enforceable policy decisions.
I therefore encourage Nigerians everywhere, engage your representatives, bring your concerns to those whom you have entrusted with the responsibility of speaking for you. For it is through the instrumentality of representation that grievances are transformed into policies and concerns into actions. Distinguished brothers and sisters, among the pressing matters before this chamber stands the national budget, that great ledger of national purse, a great purpose in which the hopes of millions are translated into the language of public policies. A budget is more than just figures upon paper, but a declaration of national intention. It tells our citizens where we choose to invest our energies, what priorities we pursue, and what future we seek to build.
He concluded by urging lawmakers to maintain unity despite political differences. From the National Assembly, Anyete Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
The House of Representatives has amended the new Electoral Act to prohibit dual membership of political parties. Lawmakers say any politician found belonging to 2 or more political parties will now face a fine of up to 10 million naira or 2 years imprisonment, or both. The amendment comes as political activities gradually build towards the 2027 general elections. National Assembly correspondent Anyete Patrick reports.
Weeks after President Bola Tinubu signed the Electoral Act into law, the House reviewed Section 77, which deals with party membership. The lawmakers say the amendment is aimed at preventing double registration and multiple party affiliations by politicians. Acting leader of the House, Sada Soli, says the move is intended to strengthen the exclusivity of political party membership.
14 days, elect in writing one political party to retain membership, because we must guarantee the freedom of association. Then failure to make such election shall render that person ineligible to participate in the primary election of any political party for that electoral cycle. This law must be clear on this process. Otherwise, the lawyers within that 21 days gap, they will stop primary elections of any political parties.
However, the amendment generated mixed reactions from some lawmakers who called for caution.
I submit that this act, we should amend this recommendation to mean that at all material time, a Nigerian must be limited to only one political party.
Is it possible for somebody to go to another political party without my permission to go and register me there, and now turn around to claim that I have registered in two political parties? If it is possible, then we might be creating a situation that we may not be able to manage.
I think
you cannot, it will be mischief to, as an adult, go and register two political parties at the same time. It is wrong, totally wrong, an act of dishonesty. You should belong to one and follow that one through. But you cannot eat your cake and have it.
But the Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, dismissed the concerns as the amendments scaled through.
if you have, as a party, submitted your register, and there are about 3 registers or 4 registers where somebody wants to be mischievous, is in Party A, Party B, Party C. What should be his punishment? That is where we are.
Earlier, 5 members of the House announced their defection from the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party. Their defections were read during plenary by the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, while 4 lawmakers defected to the All Progressives Congress, 1 moved to the Accord Party. From the National Assembly, Aniette Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
Let's move away from the National Assembly and tell you that the Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, says President Bola Tinubu has approved the employment of 50 medical doctors and 100 nurses across the nation's correctional centers hospitals. Tunji-Ojo disclosed this when the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, paid him a courtesy visit in Abuja. The minister said the president's approval followed the shortage of medical personnel in some correctional centers. He said hospitals in correctional centers in Rivers State had no medical doctors to render service to inmates. In the meantime, the federal government has launched a new initiative to connect schools across Nigeria to reliable internet service. This is aimed at expanding digital learning and integrate modern technologies, including artificial intelligence, into the country's education system. The initiative follows a directive by President Bola Tinubu to accelerate the expansion of national digital infrastructure and ensure that key sectors, particularly education, benefit from ongoing broadband and telecommunications investment. According to a statement signed by the Director of Press and Public Relations at the Ministry, Folashade Boriwo, the discussions centered on developing a framework that will ensure internet access reaches across all institutions at all levels of the education system. The federal government has unveiled 72 academic textbooks written by the Nigerian scholars under the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Higher Education Book Development Intervention Project. The initiative is aimed at strengthening indigenous academic publishing and improving teaching and research materials in tertiary institutions across the country. Priscilla Obasi reports.
Speaking at the event, the Minister of Education, Maruf Tunji Alausa, described the unveiling as a major milestone in strengthening Nigeria's education sector through homegrown scholarship. He says the publication were produced under the Higher Education Book Development Intervention Project of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, designed to address the shortage of locally produced academic textbooks in universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education.
To ensure the successful implementation of the project, the Board of Trustees of Tech Fund in 2009 established a technical advisory group. The mandate of TAG includes working with the fund on book development blueprints.
The Executive Secretary of Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Sonny Echono, said the intervention was created to tackle the shortage of indigenous academic textbooks. He explained that the program supports the publication of academic textbooks, professional association journals, and the establishment of academic publishing centers. He added that the initiative will strengthen scholarship and provide students and researchers with relevant learning materials produced by Nigerian experts.
As you will recall, the persistent shortage of high-quality tertiary level textbooks in Nigeria has long posed a major challenge to teaching, learning, and research. Beyond the issue of literacy, there has also been a compelling need to improve the quality of locally produced academic textbooks.
Representatives of academic unions, including the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union, described the intervention as a major step towards improving teaching, research, and knowledge production in the country. Stakeholders also called for wider digital access to the textbooks to enable scholars locally and internationally benefit from the publications. Priscilla Obasi, reporting for Global Television News, Abuja.
Let's move away from education and turn our attention to health, where no fewer than 99 Nigerians have died as a result of Lassa fever in the first 8 weeks of 2026, according to official data obtained from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Deaths recorded so far in the first 8 weeks of 2026 surpassed the number of deaths reported during the same period in 2025. Already, figures of suspected cases stand at 1,989 across 67 local government areas in 18 states of the Federation. According to the NCDC, 84% of all confirmed Lassa fever cases were reported from 5 states: Bauchi, Ondo, Taraba, Edo, and Benue State. And now to Kano State, where Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf has relieved the state head of service, Abdullahi Musa, of his appointment with immediate effect. The development was contained in a statement issued by the governor's spokesperson, Sanusi Tofa. According to the statement, the decision is part of ongoing effort by the administration to reposition the state civil service for greater efficiency, discipline, and improved service delivery across government institutions. Agricultural stakeholders have raised concerns over the federal government's proposed 2026 agriculture budget, warning that reduced funding to the sector could worsen Nigeria's food security crisis. At a joint conference in Abuja, civil society organizations said allocation falls short of what is required to support farmers and drive agricultural growth. Anita Patrick reports.
According to analysis, out of the proposed 58.47 trillion naira national budget, only 1.45 trillion naira is allocated to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, representing 2.48% of the total budget. Civil society groups, including the Community of Agriculture, non-state actors, small-scale women farmers association in Nigeria, Young Farmers in Nigeria, and the Action Aid Nigeria, say the proposed budget does not reflect the importance of agriculture to Nigeria's economy. They lament that with the addition of the Ministry of Livestock Development, agriculture's share rises only slightly to 2.59%, a sharp drop from 4.62% in the 2025 budget.
A deliberate shift toward these priority interventions will not only accelerate agricultural productivity and resilience, but also deliver broad-based economic benefits, stabilize food supply, and secure Nigeria's long-term food and nutrition future.
The groups warned that the reduction could weaken efforts to boost food production and achieve targets under national agricultural policies. They noted that agriculture is expected to drive part of Nigeria's projected 4.7% economic growth in 2026, but say this may be difficult without stronger financial support.
Maybe going forward, we would expand our analysis to look at every actors in the sector to see what they are investing in agriculture.
They also noted that out of the 94.65 billion naira allocated to the fund, about 89 billion naira is dedicated to the Renewed Hope Fertilizer Support Program, accounting for more than 94% of the allocation.
It is therefore strongly recommended that the allocation of the Renewed Hope Fertilizer Support Program be reduced to 10 billion, with the remaining fund redirected towards other critical and high-impact areas.
They argued that this limits investments in other critical areas such as irrigation, credit access, extension services, storage, and support for women and youth farmers. The groups therefore call on the federal government to increase funding for agriculture, ensure timely release of funds, and prioritize investments that will boost food production and reduce hunger. Anita Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Glad to have you with us on the weather forecast. For Thursday, the northern states will continue to experience plenty of sunshine along with very high temperatures. Residents are advised to drink lots of water, avoid prolonged exposure in sunlight, and wear light breathable clothing to stay comfortable in the heat. There are chances of morning thunderstorms in parts of Cross River and Akwa Ibom states. But as the day progresses, a sharp surge in moisture influx into the country would trigger some rainfall activities in parts of the north-central states, talking about the Federal Capital Territory, Kogi, Niger, Kwara, Nasarawa, and parts of Plateau states. But there are better chances of these thunderstorms along the stretch of the coast, the southwest, and in parts of Imo, Anambra, Enugu, and Abia states. Stay with us for temperature forecast. I am Theodora Itzum. Thank you for watching.
In business, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, says strategic market systems are key to transforming subsistence farming into profitable, competitive and sustainable agricultural value chains. Speaking during a courtesy visit by Haifa International Abuja, the minister emphasized that well-designed market systems connect smallholder farmers to higher value markets, boost incomes and foster economic resilience. He highlighted that digital platforms and market information empowers farmers to negotiate fair prices, reduce exploitation, and attract private sector investment into the agricultural system. The minister cited successful agribusinesses like the Extension Africa, Vet Connect, and Thrive Agri as examples of how targeted support can scale innovation, strengthen value chains, and improve farmer access to service. He acknowledged Haifa International's role in Nigeria's agricultural development, particularly in collaboration with the Bank of Agriculture on mechanization, deployment, digital trackers to monitor tractor use, servicing and maintenance, combining technology with institutional support for sustainable farming. Haifa International's president and CEO, Surita Sandosram, said their goal is to support 2 million Nigerian households to achieve sustainable incomes by 2030. The foreign airlines owe Nigeria over 80 billion naira, the Federal Airport Authority has revealed. The Committee on Finance is now demanding immediate recovery of the funds. Correspondent Anita Patrick reports.
The Managing Director of the Federal Airport Authority, Olubumi Kuku, briefing the House Committee on Finance in Abuja, stated that multiple foreign carriers are behind on payments to Nigeria. According to Kuku, in 2023, Qatar Airlines owed 2.7 billion naira. That debt has now reduced to 1.5 billion naira, but airlines including Virgin Atlantic, KLM, Egypt Air, Ethiopia Airlines, Air France, Turkish Airlines, and Africa World Airlines collectively owe over 18 billion naira. The Federal Airport Authority explained that while some airlines pay intermittently, the total arrears remain substantial.
Despite the fact that they have a 2-week window, so our agreement with IATA, so across the world, most international airlines and some domestic airlines, there's a requirement for you to be able to join the IATA platform. It's because of things like settlements.
The chairman of the House Committee on Finance, James Faleke, criticized the airlines, stressing that Nigeria must recover every kobo. Faleke said no Nigerian buys tickets on credit, warning that strict measures will be enforced against defaulters.
You have to go and register this company, the shareholders, and do the needful. Carried? Carried. And MD.
The committee also questioned why the debts were allowed to accumulate. It therefore gave FAN 2 weeks to report back on recovery efforts. Meanwhile, the committee directed the Corporate Affairs Commission to deregister Embet Finance Company, citing concerns over its registration and potential confusion with the government-owned Nigerian bulk Electricity Trading PLC.
Chairman, sir, if indeed, when we go out for compliance, if we see any Nigerian bulk electricity trading company PLC write its name, whether even without going out, if we see it publish anything in the media on its letterhead and it refers to itself as NBET, even before the registration of this one.
Distinguished Chairman, sir, we are respectfully guided by your direction and your clarifications that the committee have provided us, and we are fully aligned with you in the understanding that all government entities that generate any kind of money are revenue generating.
The committee called for full transparency in all revenue-generating agencies and vowed it will not rest until all funds owed by foreign airlines are fully recovered. From the National Assembly, Aniette Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
On the foreign scene, Iranian ambassador to the United Nations Amir Saeed Iravani has accused the United Nations Security Council of ignoring what he has called a war crime. Ambassador Iravani told reporters in New York that the Security Council is ignoring what he described as a grave terrorist attack and a war crime after Iran said Israel killed 4 of its diplomats in a strike on a Beirut hotel. Uyi Agbomofoigbe, who was there following this development, brings us the details.
Just recently, the petroleum products retail outlets owner.
The Israeli military had previously claimed responsibility for the attack, stating that it had conducted a precise strike targeting key commanders in the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Quds Force, which is its foreign operations arm. Tehran's permanent mission to the United Nations, Iravani, said in a letter to the UN Secretary-General that the strike on the Ramada Hotel resulted in the assassination and martyrdom of 4 diplomats.
It is deeply regrettable that Security Council continues to remain silent. The Council is turning a blind eye to this grave violation despite its primary responsibility under the UN Charter to maintain international peace and security. The Islamic Republic of Iran strongly condemns this cowardly crime. Yesterday, the President of the United States openly expressed pride in the destruction of civilian infrastructure, Iran's navy, and killing of Iranian sailors.
The Iranian envoy also claimed that strikes on fuel storage facilities had caused toxic pollutants to enter the air. Uyi Agbomofoigbe reporting for Global TV News.
And now to sports, where ahead of the 2026 Nigeria Cricket Federation Women's Invitational Tournament, 24 players are currently camping at the High Performance Center in Benin City, Edo State, battling to secure places in the country's final squad for the championship. The training camp consists of 8 players seeking their first ever appearance with the female Yellow Greens, while the remaining 16 are regular players who have represented the team since at least 2022. And after 1 year break, the tournament returns for its 5th edition at the Tafawa Balewa Square Cricket Oval, Lagos State, from March 18 to March 29. Still talking sports, the Nigerian sporting world is in a state of profound mourning following the passing of legendary football tactician and administrator Chief Adegboye Onigbinde, who died on Monday, March 9, at the age of 88. President Bola Tinubu led the national mourning, sympathizing with the family and professionals, associates of the former Super Eagles head coach. Through a statement signed by his special advisor on information and strategy, President Bola Tinubu lauded Onigbinde's historic 1982 appointment as the first indigenous coach of the national team. The accomplished football manager will be remembered for his discipline, integrity, foresight, and passion for the round-leather game, Tinubu stated, noting his leadership in guiding Nigeria to the 1984 Africa Cup of Nations final. That's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms, now showing on your screen, at Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for watching.